Karl lost his daddy. He used the word daddy, which is a love thing, and I don't know what to answer except sorry. Sorry. Sorry to hear that. His post was about magazines not arriving at my place. My impatience called him to account and called it a mystery that they hadn't arrived. And when he told why, I had the sensation our words were poetry. He'd written a long, one-sentence paragraph explaining why non-delivery wasn't a mystery. He'd said, "Hi, Karin, thanks. Actually, there's nothing really mysterious about it. The packet was sent regular mail. It was mailed from the university, which means that when it gets picked up by the university postal person from my office, it's taken down to the mail depot to get sorted, which takes a day, and then is shipped over to the Canada Post Office, which takes a day, which then puts it on a truck to the Sioux, which takes at least a day, and then it gets sorted at the Sioux office, which takes a day, and then, because there is now a mail slowdown across the nation thanks to the government's budget cuts, so that'll take a couple of days, and then, a person eventually takes the packet and delivers it to your door, which takes a day, all of which adds up to about 1 week before delivery. Period." Well, that was a tour de force of a sentence, to be sure, and I thought about why every step was so clear, and then I thought about his personal situation and how his focus didn't waver, not really, and mystery keeps compounding these ordinary events, and they're not really so very ordinary, right to my door. How heart does mind, and how mind does bend toward. On another note, my photographs pose Louise's art as mystery. Even though I do know a fair bit about her and her work, I decide to put all that aside and see what, if anything, I can discover, which is nothing in particular. I want to know, how did you manage to keep your head on straight through wars, to keep your head on straight through births, to keep your head on straight through deaths? I want to know how you manage to manage changing continents, changing cultures, stares of strangers, even as you examine. Even as you examine your tableau in various poses of waiting, and you slept, as we all do, in your own bed, as your alter egos, as your alter selves keep time, my hand keeps reach. My hand keeps reach towards heads you evolved separate from torsos, sometimes joined. My hand measures, spans, embraces, just my shadow, sometimes real, sometimes not. I live inside your skin. You are familiar through me to others I've loved, holding on tight. I feel, I know, maybe I'm wrong, but anyways. I feel I know in my guts without good reason, and it's about how you know your world was become a kind of poetry, hours of softness, needles, weave in, weave out, day after day, and clouds of memory, and absolute focus on material, all in all. I feel myself attached, Karl, and particularly everyone and everything, to you, as poem fruit. But then there's another aspect. In this poem, I'm responding to perhaps Karl's regression, and various voices come out when speaking his words, but I'm not satisfied. There's something more, and maybe my repertoire of voices isn't complete. I sort of talked with X yesterday for about an hour. She was spewing family dynamics, and it occurred to me the basics of hers was the fact that her parents had bonded more intimately with their opposite-sex children rather than each other. Not sexually, but emotionally, and X's misery was about the wars that went on between and among her siblings for parental attention, even now as they're nearing retirement. She wasn't after enlightenment, and I wasn't after her spew either, but then an hour was okay and I left. So this thing of responding to people in the different voices, for want of a better term, may be about emotional ability levels. Then, too, there's the very real residual issue about articulating poorly by reason of being an immigrant without language skills when I was young. Which really stayed at some level, I keep addressing that over and over, sounding stupid. I remember how that hurt. All fruit for the poem.